Why hello and welcome to The Nat Cave. This is my new YouTube channel that I've been wanting to start for ages, but haven't for some reason, too busy, etc. But I've made the plunge, we're going to do it. And all it is a place where I talk about stuff that I love and that I want to talk about. That is literally it. There's nothing more to it than that. We're going to talk about awesome stuff and remind ourselves that there's a lot of cool things that we can go and enjoy in the short time that we're here on this planet. So to start with, we are going to be celebrating and reacting to a film that I literally have seen more than 50 times from beginning to end over the last 25 years. One of the greatest movies of all time, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Now, we all know about this film. This is one of the Laserdisc versions that I own. I've actually got a special edition as well, but I just don't know where it is. I've got the 4K Blu-ray version as well. But we're going to be reacting to the classic release without the extra scenes that I'm not a huge fan of. But you can see I've got the Terminator 2 drip on. You see that? Shout out to Hell on Shirts. And we're just going to go. We're going to talk about the film. I'm going to give you some of the, I don't know, little anecdotes I've collected about it over the past 25 years. And we're just going to celebrate what is an awesome, awesome movie. One of my favorites of all time. And we're just going to be really happy that we're here to enjoy it. So let's go. Man that has seen Terminator 2 over 50 times reacts to watching Terminator 2. So straight away, you can hear something very interesting. So Brad Fiedel was the composer for this film, and he used the Fairlight Series 3 CMI sample-based synthesizer to do so. And how it works is it takes real sounds of real instruments, banks them in a library that you can then trigger at will. And he's got a sample of a cello or something like that he's manipulated the pitch of. He's dropped it down so much that there's not enough information in the sample anymore, and the sample's physically breaking. He's breaking the sound, and it's creating these audio artifacts that you can hear, these little, I hear them as like bubbles. And it's something that if you did it in a music tech class, you might fail as a result or get marked down because you're literally breaking the sample. But what Brad ends up doing is creating a very important component of the timbre of the soundscape. The music that Brad did for this music, it still sounds so different and original. And it's just a pleasure to listen to because there's really nothing else that sounds like it even today. Man, we're not even like 2 seconds into the film and I'm already going off on one. So yeah, this might be a long video. A James Cameron film. James Cameron.
3 billion human lives ended on August 29th, 1997.
So straight away, we're hearing Sarah Connor for the first time. And obviously, when we think of her in Terminator 1, very different character. Look at what we're seeing here. This is it. Just look at it. It's like cocaine for your eyes. Love that. Love how it cuts out of the truck. I mean, okay, so you can see here, that was a perfect sphere that appeared in the time displacement field. But as you can see on the truck, it's not actually cut a perfect sphere out of it. And whereas before I used to think that was like the orange was heat generating that, you can actually see it's fluorescent paint on the truck. I am going to point out a load of these silly little things that I've noticed over the years, but I should just say it doesn't detract at all from the experience we have when we watch this film. I consider this to be a near perfect movie. That doesn't mean there aren't little continuity errors and stuff. It means that they don't matter because the experience you have when you watch this movie is basically perfect. You can hear that little anvil. That is the T-800 sound in this movie. And it was reused again in Dark Fate when we were reintroduced to Arnold's T-800 in that. I legit remember arguing with one of my mates at school, primary school by the way, about whether or not we would want to have red Terminator vision or not. Like literally going through the merits of seeing everything in red or seeing everything in color. and like having the text in front of our screen, in front of our vision. I don't know. Just... Right, the guy that's singing this song, that's playing in the bar, is the same guy that is at the beginning of The Wedding Crashers, trying to negotiate his divorce settlement with his wife. Perfect performance here.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
What's funny, if you watch the 4K ultra high definition remaster of this, you can see a lot of the hairs on Arnold's chest now that haven't been shaved off properly. And it is just funny that a lot of these films, you know, they weren't created in anticipation of people viewing them at such high resolution, and it does make for a very interesting viewing experience, just seeing everything in ultra high res, because you just get to notice so many more little details that aren't present in the original versions. Now, if you are a real OG and you used to watch this on VHS back in the day, you will probably recall that when you watch this on a CRT through a VHS, you can actually see that the top of the screen there's this neon sign, and when it pans out and you just see Arnold's eyes at the top of the screen, it used to look like they were flashing red as the neon came down either side of his head. Another little detail, I only noticed this after I've been watching the film for about 20 years, but you can see the guy he threw out of the window is right there on the car. Like, that is one of the most iconic shots, characters, everything. Just look at it. It is incredible. I always found it weird. Why was this police officer driving down here? Because this electrical disturbance that he's about to describe, what does it last? Like 5 to 10 seconds? So he must have been driving down there just as it started. Why is he driving down there? Driving towards a fence. And again, notice that should be a perfect circle, but it's not. And I'm just going to say it again, I don't care. I always found it weird, like, why didn't Robert Patrick play the police officer that was going to find the T-1000, and then the T-1000 like assume the identity of the police officer that was Robert Patrick?
John!
Again, if you're an OG, you know exactly the pitch and the revs that bike gets revved to each time.
Won't even answer me anymore.
Honey, move.
Would you get off your butt and help me?
Now, I have to just take a second and talk about this. On the left, we have Ray Plachecki from season 3 of 24, when she's interviewing Jack about his drug addiction. On the right, however, we have Xander Berkeley, who played George Mason in seasons 1 and 2 of 24. He had, in my opinion, I'm a big 24 fan, and he had the best character arc of any character in that whole show. And I have to just say this, Xander Berkeley is one of, if not the most underrated and underappreciated actor that I've ever seen in my entire life. He is an extraordinary actor. And I have to just say that again. He is extraordinary, phenomenal. And he never got his fair dues, in my opinion. He never got his big shot. He played Stuart in Taken, which was obviously at the time kind of like a straight-to-DVD release before the planets aligned, and they ended up making an absolute banger of a movie and ended up releasing it at the cinema. Then what happens in the sequel? But they just get rid of him. They intimate that Stuart is still Xander Berkeley in Taken 2, but you only ever see him from behind. But then in Taken 3, they just recast him. And good for Xander Berkeley. I really didn't enjoy that film. But as soon as the films got popular, they get rid of him and they put someone else in there. Why? Why? If you're a Hollywood director or somebody with the power to give Xander Berkeley a role in your film, please do it. He's amazing. His performance as George Mason in 24. All right? Come on up, come on up. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, I was making my pitch to Hollywood. Give Xander Berkeley a lead role in a great film. All right? Okay, thank you. Where to begin with this? I mean, in Terminator 1, Linda Hamilton gives an incredible performance as Sarah Connor. In that film, she is very innocent. She's just living a life as a normal human being. And what she has become between Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 is extraordinary. And this has to be one of the most incredible developments of a character from one movie to the sequel. And Linda Hamilton ends up giving one of the most legendary action hero performances in this film. Just pure badassery, incredible physical shape that she got herself into after giving birth months before the production for this film started. Amazing performance, great character.
How's the knee?
Fine, Sarah.
She stabbed me in the kneecap with my pen a few weeks ago.
She stabbed me in the kneecap with my pen a few weeks ago, and they have an interview later on this day where apparently she's shown 6 months of improved behavior. So I'm not quite sure how that works, but again, doesn't matter, don't care. I can't help noticing this stuff because I've seen the film so many times.
That her?
That picture, there's a lot I want to say about that picture, but I'm not going to, in case some people watch this video for some reason and I feel compelled to do a react to the original Terminator movie, because there is a lot to talk about in that picture.
She tried to blow up the computer factory, but she got shot and arrested.
So it's amazing. So obviously what they're doing here is setting up the fact that John does not believe about his future, that he believes that his mother was trying to indoctrinate him, but she's actually a psycho, and everything about the future and the Terminator and whatnot is not true, which obviously sets up an interesting reaction when later events take place in the film.
You said that if I showed improvement after 6 months.
It's been 6 months, even though she apparently stabbed him in the kneecap with his pen a few weeks ago. Again, not a big deal. I don't care. I'm just pointing it out because it's what I do. Oh, what pizza is that? Oh, they're donuts.
Hey, so you don't believe anymore?
Hang on a minute. Does she just look at the camera? She does. I never realised that. Look at this. This scientist here looks at the camera, then looks away. What are you doing? She's... I've never noticed that. Incredible.
The materials team is running another... Mr. Dyson. Yes. The materials team is running another series.
How did he get out of breath? Just walking from there to there, kicking that bin over. He got out of breath. So this is one of the core, most amazing parts of the Terminator story. What we have here is obviously the CPU from the T-800 from Terminator 1. And we obviously see the arm in a sec. Obviously the Terminator that was left in the hydraulic press, what happened to it? Well, there's actually a deleted scene from Terminator 1 in which you find out that the final sequence actually takes place within Cyberdyne Systems. So obviously some people found this crushed, metal robot from the future in there, and they were like, what the hell is this? The arm is sticking out of the press at the end. They salvaged that. There's this little bit of CPU that's salvaged. And that salvage is what is used to build the technology that is then used to create Skynet. It is what gives Cyberdyne the technology to actually build Skynet and build the Terminators. So it basically feeds itself, and it's some kind of feedback loop. It's quite unique to the Terminator brand of time travel. Quite an emotionally powerful way of thinking about it. Like, just imagine you're Miles Dyson and you're looking at this arm. You are looking at the technology, looking at the CPU, looking at the arm, and you're just like, where did this come from? This is more advanced than anything we could possibly fathom creating. We're decades behind the technology that we're seeing here. Where did it come from? It just landed in their lap. Where did it come from? I love that. They literally crash cars, you know, on the road against each other just for this one shot. Amazing. And it's worth pointing out that, say you'd seen the first movie and you'd gone into the second movie blind, because I know they spoil this in the original trailer, you don't know that Arnold's a good guy in this film. You think he's a bad guy. Obviously, seeing that he's identified John Connor, you're actually getting nervous about the fact that he's going to get to him first. It's so cool. And oh baby, ooh, the golden age of arcades. Oh, I've got to just remark here, this is the Afterburner cabinet, the full cabinet. This is like a pinnacle arcade machine from back in the day.
Hey man, I think I saw that kid you were looking for. Hey!
I've just got to say, right, if the T-1000 catches up to him and kills him, the future of humanity is wiped out. Right, this next sequence, I'm not kidding, right? This is perfection in filmmaking. What we're about to watch here, this is as close to perfect as any part of any film I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay? Are we ready for this? I'm not ready. I've seen it 50 times and I'm not ready. Are you ready? Let's go. Now watch. Right, we're in slow motion now. Oh, I just want to watch this. I don't want to keep pausing it, but we've all seen it. I don't need to play the whole thing for you. You've seen it. You got this far. You've seen it. We're in slow motion, and you don't even notice it the first time you watch the film or the second time, or whatever. You don't think about it because it's exactly the way that this should be played. It should be in slow motion. Now I want you to pay attention to the next sequence. Look at the shots here. Arnold opens up the box of roses to reveal the shotgun. Look at the angles. Look at the composition. Look at the framing. Just admire the perfection of what we're about to watch. John Connor is realizing that Terminators exist, that his mum was right, that she's been locked up wrongly, that she was telling the truth to him all these years. This is a Terminator. You can see the realization in his face. Look at it, look at it. Slow motion. Now, I have to just say, you have not lived if you have not watched this sequence with a friend who has not seen the movie before. I've been lucky enough to coach two friends, or actually 3 friends, but on 2 occasions, through watching Terminator 1, and then we watched Terminator 2. And I made sure that they didn't know that Arnold was the good guy in Terminator 2. And we got to this sequence, and I was on tenterhooks, you know, just like, do they know? Do they know? Do they know? And they didn't know. And I want you to imagine watching this film not knowing that. How awesome would that be?
Get down.
And honestly, that bit, get down. I just remember my mate Callum. This is a shout out to you, player. I love watching this film. And Mel, Callum and Mel, loved watching Terminator with you in Bristol. And I just remember being sat next to him and I was kind of like this. I was like, just watching. And then when Arnold goes, get down, Callum went, wait, what? What, he's the good guy? I honestly, it's one of my favourite memories of our whole friendship. I haven't seen him for years, but that still sticks out. It was an awesome moment. And Hannah and Patrick, I loved the moment with you as well. But the Callum moment, magnificent. Whoa! It's your first sign that the T-1000 is this liquid metal Terminator as well. Oh, I'm literally getting out of breath. I'm so hype. I have seen this over 50 times. I'm so hyped to watch this. I can't even tell you. You see the look on John Connor's face? He's like, oh my God, they're Terminators. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, my mum was telling the truth. What am I going to do? Look at this, see? Look at the strength. That is just one of those beautiful, ridiculous moments that, like, what is that? But it's just amazing. My mum always used to laugh at that moment in the film, actually. And that there is William Wisher. He co-wrote the film with James Cameron. And got to give a shout out to Will Wisher. You and JC wrote one of the greatest films ever made. And thank you for doing that, sir. Because this film... Whew, I'm just keeping it real. If that bike doesn't start and the T-1000 makes it over to him and kills him, humanity dead. That's how important it is that this bike starts. That's how important it is. Now, in an interview, I think for the 4K re-release, I'm not sure, Robert Patrick describes this sequence. Obviously, he was trained by Uzi Gal to get in shape for the film, and he got in phenomenal physical condition, physical shape. Absolutely amazing. And one of the best examples of that was when they first shot this film, and obviously this angle here, there's a rig that this bike is attached to that James Cameron is filming from, and James Cameron told the guy driving the rig, floor it, because Robert is fast. And they did the first shot, and the guy floored it, but, well, maybe didn't floor it, but didn't drive quick enough, and Robert Patrick actually caught the bike and caught up to him and literally destroyed all of humanity. Look at this bump. Oh, that looked like a hell of a bump. And I just have to take a moment to remark upon the fact that this still, to me, to look at this film, to watch it, it feels like cocaine for my eyes. Because I can just tell that what I'm seeing is real. And there's obviously visual effects used in shots like this. I get it, there's rear projection, there's all sorts. But it's not all generated on a computer. And I love CG. I got nothing against it. I really loved the new Avatar film, which is the most CG film ever made. Let's keep it real. There's just something in me, I can't describe it, that when I don't think about it, but when I just see something that's all soft and not quite animated perfectly and not quite real, it just diminishes my emotional reaction to it and how much I can really be moved by what I'm seeing on screen. And watching Terminator 2, you don't have to worry about that. It's not a thing, because what you're seeing is real. And as a result, it really has so much more emotional impact on you. And still to this day, this film looks incredible, and it is very, very impactful as well. And I think one of the reasons for that is a lot of these stunt sequences are shot for real. This next sequence, I mean, what the hell were they thinking, bro? And obviously you can see I'm not watching the remaster, the 4K re-release, because they kept the windshield inside the truck, whereas obviously in this version it fell out, and then in the next shot it's back in. I just have to point out in this sequence as well, this is one of the best examples of the arrangement of the film music. Something we take for granted, but a great film score, in my opinion, is arranged to the picture and the picture cut to the music. That's not always a given, but you can really tell with the music in this, Fidel went to great lengths to arrange it to the picture. So when there's a change, something different happens on screen, you can feel it through the music as well, and it accentuates the emotional impact of the sequence. Right. I mean, look at that shot. I always thought if it was a machine driving the truck, wouldn't it be like a perfect line down the canal? But it wouldn't look as cool, so I'll give him a pass. Now, I literally get emotional. I just started tearing up then. God, that is pathetic. This shot is everything I love in filmmaking right here. Maybe not everything, that's a bit exaggerating a bit, but look at what we're seeing here. We are seeing the Harley Davidson, the Terminator T800, elevated on a different level. Below, we are seeing the truck, and in front of it, we're seeing John Connor on his dirt bike. In one shot. This is not generated on a computer. This was filmed for real. Think about how difficult that was to set up, to get everybody in the right position, at the right place in the canal. You ready? 1, 2. That was not even 2 seconds for that shot. And we're onto something different. I mean, James Cameron. Oh my god, this is... yeah. And obviously the way that he reloads the shotgun there, so badass, so badass. We would, like in school, we would emulate that. Amazing. But yeah, watch the shotgun in his hand now. Watch this, right? You see it's in his hand. Boom. And it's gone. Again, I don't care. I'm just pointing it out. It's not a big deal. Love this movie. And we have to just remark as well about the fact that the guy, the stunt motorcycle rider, doesn't look... well, I guess he looks vaguely like Arnold, but not that much. I love that. It just doesn't look like Arnold. In the 4K re-release, they did digitally alter the face to look a bit more like Arnold, but I'll keep it real. I prefer this version. I do like the fact it looks more like Arnold, but they didn't quite do it with the requisite level of care and attention that I think needed to be demonstrated if you are manipulating arguably the greatest film ever made. So I still prefer to watch this version. But I mean, what a stunt. What a stunt.
Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
I never got that. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. So the T800 is Model 101.
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
If he hadn't have said those words, he would not have been able to come back in Terminator 3. He would not have been able to come back in Terminator Genesis. He would not have been able to come back in Terminator Dark Fate. Because he said that, living tissue of a metal endoskeleton, the biorg part of Cyborg meant that his exterior could age, and it still made sense within this universe of him being a robot with a power cell that lasts 120 years. I love it. Like, I know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is. I still believe that I'm looking at a machine right now. I believe that this character that Arnold Schwarzenegger is portraying is a robot, is a machine. What can I say? It works.
So what's the deal?
And shout out to Eddie Furlong. I mean, in this film, he is phenomenal. And it's his first movie, bro. This is his first movie. And he really just brings it. He's just got a grit about him. He's still got like a cool factor. I can't really put my finger on what it is. But the energy, the voice, everything that he brings to this is just... it's just a really great performance. I don't know how else to put it.
A mimetic polyalloy.
What the hell does that mean?
Mimetic polyalloy. How do you not know what that means?
Liquid metal.
Obviously.
Todd and Janelle are dicks.
I've just got to point out as well, the grading in this sequence. I love blue, and I love films that have a blue tint to them. This next sequence just gets so blue that it is ridiculous, but it looks amazing. Iconic. I'm going to say that a lot, but this is an iconic shot. Great art ages differently. It ages differently. Could you release this film today, this year, looking like it does? Probably not. Probably not. It would need... the CG in it would need touching up. But you wouldn't need any more CG in it than is present. And this film could be released this year, and it would still be number one. And it would still be the greatest movie ever made. All of the themes and the topics that this film deals with are more potent today, more important, more relevant than they were when the film came out.
You're telling me that this thing can imitate anything it touches?
Anything it samples by physical contact.
Yeah, that means touches.
Can form solid metal shapes.
Like what?
Knives and stabbing weapons.
Again, this is beautiful exposition right now. It feels very natural, and you're learning about the machine. You're learning about the potential of the T-1000, why it does certain things, why it doesn't do other things. Because you need there to be certain rules about what this machine can and can't do for the purposes of the story. And having this exposition, very natural, explaining to John, informs the viewer. We know what's going on.
These were taken at a mall in Reseda today.
I love that. He's even got a leather jacket on in both, and sunglasses. Although, never thought about that. That is 1991, or this is Terminator 2 Arnie on the left as well, isn't it? Just with the OG glasses on. Yeah, for those shots. Yeah, it's not actually a shot of him from Terminator 1.
For a while there, she was with this crazy ex-Green Beret guy. Running guns.
That is such a cool shot there as well. Obviously, we're starting to see the development of the paternal relationship between John Connor and the Terminator. I fully stand by my claim that Terminator 1, or The Terminator, is fundamentally a love story. And in a way, Terminator 2 is as well. But rather than it being a love story between Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese, a love that transcends time, we've got this father-son relationship that develops between John Connor and the Terminator, who, learns what it means to be human eventually. What's really interesting, actually, it's worth mentioning this just now, is that Brad Fiedel said that him and James Cameron realized that if you have a sound panned to left and right in the mix, the particular Dolby codec that they were using will just push this sound. If it's the same one, it will push it to the center channel, and you lose the stereo effect. So what they end up doing with a lot of sound is they just offset them slightly, so one will play a fraction of a second after. So even though it's the same sound, it, rather than having like a or a like you're hearing in the soundtrack here, it's like a really quick. And because you've offset it slightly, it's no longer the same sound, and you can actually maintain the stereo spread. But it's just a weird thing that the Dolby codec did from back in the day. This is one of those legendary CGI shots, VFX shots, that, again, at the time when this came out, I cannot imagine what this would have been like to see. This is ILM at the absolute cutting edge of VFX right here.
Hey, I got a full house.
Shout out to Balatro, everybody that's playing that at the moment. Love that game. Again, it doesn't make any sense why he's turning back into this Robert Patrick form inside the hospital, but it looks great. Why, hello there. It's me, Nathaniel, again, who you have just been watching for an ungodly amount of time. And the first thing I want to say is thank you very much. I'm glad that you love Terminator 2 as much as I do. Originally, I did plan for this T2 Reacts video to be one ginormous, humongous video. But alas, it was getting to be too humongous. So I've decided to split it into two parts, and you've just watched part one. And thus, if you want to see part two, you know what you've got to do. All the YouTube stuff, subscribe, comment down below talking about how much you love Terminator 2 and what your favorite part that we reacted to today was. And on that, I'll be back, obviously, for part two. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.